Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen,
And I'm John Johnson.
and you're listening to
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, both classic and new comics we want to read, and everything else in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
Today, we are reading X Factor, the Angel of Death storyline.
Yeah.
So for all you who don't know, there's a character that was one of the original X-Men named Angel. He appeared in the third movie, right?
Yeah, he's in the third. He is in the first movie because Wolverine fights him in the cage.
I don't remember.
Doesn't he?
I don't know.
I thought he did it in the cage.
Wolverine fights him in the...
Or maybe is it in the Wolverine movie? Now they're blending together. He fights him in a cage in one movie, and then
I don't think that's in the first movie because I would have known it. Like, I would have specifically known that as a kid.
He's in one of them like that.
He must be in Wolverine.
Must be Wolverine.
So, anyway, he's definitely in the third one.
Yes.
And he's played... I don't remember the guy's name who plays him, but he's the kid that's in Freaks and Geeks.
Oh, yeah,
He's also in a bunch of other stuff. I can't remember his name. But
yeah, and he's just kind of in the movie, flying around.
He just like jumps out and basically he's like, "Don't cut off my wings," and flies away.
Yeah.
And so in that storyline, or in the storyline we read today, it's how that character becomes an evil character named Archangel, and or how he goes through that process of becoming Archangel. And it was something that always intrigued me as a kid. I believe I think I told last week, but I explained that I saw one of those Marvel Flair cards that came out in the 90s of, the characters, and there's like a Wolverine and, Colossus or whatever, and this badass artwork of Angel, of Archangel, and I was just like, who's this? Like, this guy looks fucking awesome. Didn't know. I was like, oh, he came from X-Men, must be an X-Men. He was in the show X-Men a little bit, like the cartoon animated one.
Yeah, I remember seeing him in the old animated.
Yeah, but I don't think they fully explained how he became Archangel. He just was Archangel, I think. And so I always just assumed that happened in the X-Men comic, but it didn't. It happened in a comic called X Factor, which was a side or a spin-off title of the X-Men book. Now, we'll just give a little setup for this. In this book, at this time in X-Men, I guess, Charles Xavier is dead, or presumed dead at least.
Yeah.
And I believe Storm is leading the team, and the team doesn't have Cyclops, Jean Grey, Angel, Iceman, and Beast in it because they are X Factor. So those characters, and that's actually the original X-Men team from the 60s, they left and started their own crew called the X Factor. And what X Factor is it is a group that is funded by Angel because Angel has a lot of money. His dad was a millionaire and he inherited it. And so Angel's financing this group called X Factor, and they basically hunt mutants. They put a face on their company where they hunt mutants. That's what it looks like to humans that don't like mutants. They're like, hey, we're mutant hunters. And then they get the mutants that they're hunting, and they say, hey, don't worry. We're just like training you, and we're helping you get your powers good.
Kind of like reform them.
Yeah, like reform or just help them learn their power set, so they don't end up being bad.
Give them a fake mustache, put them back in society.
Exactly. And so, and then in the other guy that's part of the X Factor is Angel's human counterpart, who's kind of like the not CFO or something. He's like the second in command, or like the right hand.
He's
man.
public relations.
Yeah, there you go. He's the public relations of Angel, and his name is Cameron Hodges. Or Hodge.
I think
it's Hodge. Yeah, and so that guy actually hates mutants. I don't know if it didn't make it clear whether everybody knows that he hates mutants, and they just like he puts up with them and they put up with him because he is trying to fool them, so he knows that they are mutants.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they know that he hates mutants.
It didn't come off to me like they, at least that like the main, like the team, like Cyclops and Jean and Beast knew that.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe Angel did. I don't know. Yeah. But it seemed like him and Angel had a thing where like, we have an understanding of, I don't like mutants, but we're doing this thing. We're kind of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, because they're trying to have a noble cause of getting these mutants without people like looking at the company too hard and then turning them into good people is what they think. But Cameron Hodge has a different idea.
He has other plans.
So that is the setup for X Factor and what's going on in it. And it is written by Louise Simonson, and most of it is drawn by Walter Simonson, blah, 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 blah.
Walter Simonson,
who is her husband.
Yeah.
And also Sal Buscema draws one of these issues too. So I got to say, that team of Louise Simonson and Walter Simonson, fan-fucking-tastic, amazing. They just...
It's cool a couple work so like awesome together on a...
Yeah, and it's just cool. It's kind of like if you have a band with like siblings or something in it. It's like they just are a little bit tighter. They work well together. Yeah. Everything's good. And this is like Walt Simonson at his like peak. You know, he's peaking in this is like from the I think early 90s or maybe late 80s. I didn't look at 87. That's when this is from. So this was like a story that was, you know, well received, obviously, because you know, he's a character that people liked in the 90s, I think. So, yeah, so it starts off with issue 21, and we read from issue 21 to 25 of X Factor. I read through 26 just to, like, wrap things up, but that's the full story arc is 21 through 26. But 26 is, like, a filler issue, I would say. But yeah, so we start off in issue 21, and Beast, we find out that Beast is not in his blue, you know, Beast mode, you know, with the fur and everything.
Yeah, he looks like original Beast, like he's a humanoid.
Yeah, he's a human.
Really big muscles.
Yeah, and it turns out that the setup for this is they have just fought Apocalypse, who you might know from the third movie that came out recently or whatever.
Yeah, the new, no. Was it the third or is it the fourth?
It's the fourth, you're right.
Yeah, is that new from the newer one? And it's sad because Oscar Isaac is a really good actor, but I don't know.
I didn't see it.
I saw it. They didn't flesh out and really make Apocalypse to be as bad as he's supposed to be. I didn't remember much of him. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I just remember as a kid, like, oh, like he's really big and he's like, you know, creepy.
He's blue.
Yeah, he's blue, and he was kind of like muted, purpley blue in the movie, and he got big once.
Okay. So in this, he has created, or he's trying to create a team called the Four Horsemen of Apocalypse, which is cool.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. It's on brand for sure. And he, as of right now, has 3 horsemen, and they have fought the X Factor and whooped them pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Beast almost died.
Yeah, Beast almost died. He got touched by pestilence, and I guess because his X gene or whatever is affected a certain way, he's getting stronger, but his brain is deteriorating. So Hank is
getting dumber.
Hank McCoy is known for his smarts. He's always been a beast that looks like a monster, but he's smart as hell. So the fact that his brain is getting smaller and deteriorating isn't a good thing for him. But he's kind of enjoying his strength in this, at least at first. Like he's like, holy crap, I'm super strong. And there's a lot of moments where he's like, don't worry about it, I'm strong now, I can do that. But every time he exudes his strength, it makes him more dumb. So like there's a give and take with that.
Yeah.
And then like Jean Grey and Cyclops, they're just normal. They didn't get hurt or touched or anything. But not Cyclops. Iceman has something has happened. Was it? I don't know if he got touched by one of them, or if he just his powers are going wacko right now. Like he's way overpowered. So like he can't control it like finely, but he can do way powerful blasts of ice and stuff. He just can't, do fine motor skills, we'll say, of the ice manipulation.
Yeah, if he's gonna go like Iceman and use his power, he's going like 0 to 10 like right away.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we started off. Obviously, there's like a lot of anti-mutant sentiment going on, and that's why the X Factor feels like they need to present themselves as humans that are capturing mutants or hunting mutants, as opposed to like a mutant team like the X-Men or whatever. And did we say? Oh, we didn't say. I don't think. Okay, so Angel, another setup. There's a lot of setup to this because it does jump you in the middle of it. I will also say I didn't have a problem keeping up with everything. The way Louise Simonson wrote it, with my bare knowledge of X-Men being from the TV show, the animated series, and like the movies and stuff, I could follow what was going on, and like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
I got it. But I forgot to mention, because there's a lot of plot threads going on, that Angel has recently, at least to the knowledge of the X Factor people, that he has killed himself because Cameron Hodge, apparently talked him into cutting off his wings so that he would look normal, I guess. And that made him spiral into depression and not act like himself. And what the X Factor people think is he killed himself. So there's no Angel at the beginning of this. Everybody's just sad that he died, and everybody's recovering from the fight with the Horsemen of Apocalypse.
Yes.
And they're mad at Hodge because they're like, you're the reason why he got his wings amputated, and, it's not good. But basically, what's going on is they're all getting ready to go to the will reading of Angel.
William Worthington. It's such a
William
rich
Worthington
name.
III. And so he, like we said, he's rich. And so everybody is wanting his money, except obviously the X Factor people. They're just friends with him. But they're part of the will reading because he's going to leave his estate, and which includes X Factor, to someone. So they don't know who it is. So everybody's getting ready, and we see a little bit of the manipulation of Cameron Hodge. He has a control room in this building that no one else knows about, where he's got cameras in people's bedrooms and weird areas that they shouldn't have access to. So it's very weird that he can just let me see what they're doing in the Summers penthouse. It's do you watch that all the time?
All the time? Gene and Scott are in there.
Yeah,
a lot.
Okay. And so he's got a camera in the infirmary, so he's hearing everything everybody's saying about him. And yeah, we just get this. What's going on in the house? Also in the house, there are kids that they've saved, other mutants that they have saved or hunted, but they brought back to being saved. And they're kind of they're fun kids. They were Morlocks, if you know anything. They're the people that lived in the sewer for a while and are rebel mutants. And
it's fun. Some of them I remember. One of them is Fire Fist. It's the one that was in the second Deadpool movie.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, There's Fire Fist, Richter, which, can you guess his power?
Yeah.
he's shaking things on the Richter scale.
Yeah.
Fun. Leech, and then actually I didn't get the blonde girl's name. That's the only one I didn't get through this either. I feel like I never saw. If they said it once and they never went back to it, I missed it.
Yeah, so she's there, but I mean, none of these people really do.
Yeah,
too
they're
much,
not.
so.
Yeah, they get. Yeah, we'll talk. One thing happens with them, but it doesn't.
The only reason I'm mentioning them is because it's important for one part of the story, and you just need to know that they're there.
Yeah,
and they were under the protection of these X Factor guys, and so Cameron Hodge and the X Factor people like Jean Grey and everybody go to the will reading of Angel, and they find out that Angel left everything to Cameron Hodge. The whole X Factor, everything. He controls X Factor now, and he's not a good guy. He doesn't like mutants, and he's very happy with leaving this whole organization to him. And of course, that doesn't mean that everybody has to work there. They could quit, of course, and be like, "No, I don't want to work there." So I don't know exactly. I guess it's just the cachet of owning this company and money or whatever. But everybody's very pissed off about it.
Yeah, it's literally like the oh no, Cameron Hodge, oh yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, and so
I just like the panels the way they were drawn.
Yes, but this is from '87, so it's way before any of that.
Yeah.
So, but then in the middle of walking out, and while everybody's pissed off, and all these news reporters are out there because they're like, "What'd they say?" I guess it's newsworthy in the '80s that millionaires leaving their money or estate or whatever to people, and so they want to know what's going on. And right as they're asking, these weird robots called Smilers. Which I guess they look like that because their helmets have a big jawline, which kind of looks like a happy face. So they call them Smilers, but they attack and they say, "We're mutants," and they just yell that, and then they "For mutant kind," and they just start shooting everybody with guns.
With guns, though, yeah.
With guns. They're not using mutant powers. They're in mech suits that shoot bullets, and they're shooting and they're hitting people, reporters and stuff. And I mean, it looks like they killed people in this for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a crowd of people, and then you just see things ricocheting and flying into the crowds. So.
Yeah, so it didn't look, and they have rockets and shit too. They're blowing stuff up, and of course, there's a big fight scene where we get to see Iceman, fight him and stuff, and we get to see all their powers. I like how they're just whenever. Obviously, you have to come up with like foils for their powers because, like if Iceman is fighting someone, he's like, haha, my heat suit, like whatever the fuck their power is, it's gonna fight against that. So as Cyclops is zapping them, he's like, my lasers just bounce off of them, like my eye lasers is like, well, that's because our armor is fucking resistant or like impenetrable to your eye beams for some reason. It's coated with Cyclops anti-Cyclops reflection or something. Yeah. And then but he's like, but your joints aren't the joints of your suit. So he's able to like squint, I guess, and focus his eyes into a beam, where the beam's gonna like hit just as they're flying too. This is like really good shot placement.
Super controlled, like
but he's able to shoot and like ruin a couple suits by shooting through the joint areas and just mayhem in general. And then we see that Apocalypse is actually sitting above town. Now, Apocalypse, we mentioned him before. He's like the big bad on top of the big bad because Cameron Hodge is kind of the first big bad in this. And then Apocalypse, he's in a alien spacecraft that's just hovering above New York. Yeah.
Cloaked.
It's cloaked. No one sees it. No radio frequencies or anything can pick up. No radar or anything can see it. And it's just sitting above New York. Now, you would think maybe a bird or planes or whatever might
fly into it.
Yeah, but apparently there's no birds flying around town. This is when they killed all the pigeons in New York or something. So, but yeah, he's watching this happen. And he's very excited because he's like, haha, look at them. They're so weak. And when I finally like enable my master plan and release my 4 horsemen, it will, they will be the end of them, these mutants or whatever. And so he basically, and we should say, so Cameron Hodge is an anti-mutant human, and Apocalypse is a pro-mutant mutant. So Apocalypse is some godlike immortal mutant from way back in the day. We'll say maybe like before Egypt, because he mentions that he's part of Egyptian culture
and Aztec culture, and I do like that. I like that he has such a worldly backstory of like being around for like almost all of time.
Yeah, all of human time.
Yeah, human time. Yeah.
So like he was born, with I don't know, the Ice Age or some shit, and then like as human civilizations developed, he just kept living, and people worshipped him as like a god, and so that's his mentality. And he really doesn't like humans. He's like, fuck humans, they can die, and we're like the next level of evolution. And so then, as the Smiler mech suit guys fly away, everybody's recovering obviously from their attack, and they actually go and attack the base where the kids were. So all the mutants that we talked about being kind of like superfluous to the story, they're the mutants that, the kid mutants that are at home while the X Factor guys are...
They're there to get captured.
Yeah, they're there to get captured. They're the damsels in distress. Or whatever. So they get rounded up by these guys, and there's a big fight scene, and it's pretty cool. I was like, okay, reading this, I was like, holy fuck, because they're shooting... Like, we just saw them shoot and kill people in a crowd.
Yeah.
Then they burst in with no, warning to these people, these kids... the room that these kids are in, and they're shooting them as well. And I was like, they're mowing down these fucking kids. I thought they were killing children in this book. And I was like, wow. And they specifically show all of them get shot, and things happen where you're just like, what the hell? Like, you see bullet lines going through them, and I thought everybody was getting killed. And then they have a throwaway line of, luckily, too bad we had to use rubber bullets because they want them alive or whatever. So they throw that in there so all these children aren't dead because they need them alive. They put power dampening helmets on them. Also, there's one other guy who's there, and he's kind of like an adult mutant that they rescued. His name is Caliban, and you might know him or remember him from Logan, the Wolverine movie, where it's like old man Logan.
Yeah.
And
his power is pretty much the same in that, he can detect other mutants.
Yeah. But in this, he's recently found, and he doesn't know how to help anybody. He doesn't know how to fight. He doesn't know how to apply his power set. into combat. So he's just kind of useless, and he's very angry that they're stealing kids. And he tries to fight for them, but like it doesn't do anything because they're in mech suits. And they basically I thought this was funny. They like pull out a dart gun, like a tranquilizer gun, and they just shoot him like 20 times with it. And they're like, yeah, that'll probably kill him. He's like ODing on like tranquilizer. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty good. That's a good way to kill someone if you don't have bullets on you. You just trank them a bunch of times. So while that was going on with the kids and everything, so the kids are taken, and the X Factor people like Cyclops and Jean Grey and Iceman and Beast, they were like, oh, we got to get out of here from that shooting scene earlier, the fight scene, but we don't want people to know it was us because they used their powers to fight off those people. And they were like, well, and this is weird. I was like, everybody would have seen that. Everybody had cameras there. They're all reporters. And they're like, well, it was moving pretty fast. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they would have caught you fucking shooting laser beams out of your eyes. Freaking laser beams coming out of your face. And no one caught it on film. It was moving too fast. But they were worried that like people might recognize them. So they were like, let's just walk through the sewer back to home.
Yeah, it's the quickest like straight line to
disgusting sewer water.
Yeah, it's fine.
No, it's not fine. Disgusting. Have you ever, I don't think you have. You've never smelled a sewer pipe, have you?
Oh, yes. Now, I don't know what for reason. That sounds weird saying that now. But
just for
of
fun.
course I have.
I mean, it is terrible smelling. And imagine that all around you and not being able to walk away from it. You're walking through it. It's just, no. I don't know if this is a good idea. I don't know why Jean Grey's...
What are they sludging through? What are you talking about?
Sludging through is exactly what that is. Just shit water is what that is. So it's no fun. But they are able to make it back to their base. In the meantime...
One other ex kid kind of shows up. She's a little bit older. Her name is Boom Boom.
Boom Boom. And I liked her a lot. I was actually like...
I like her little power. It's kind of
like
cool.
Gambit Light or something?
Yeah, that's perfect. Gambit Light. Like, she can, like, toss little... Like, and she can actually... It's not even necessarily little. Like, she can make different size explosions.
But she makes it... Like, she... Instead of it being a card that he has to... Like, Gambit has to energize, it's like she can make the energy, but she has to count. Like, she can... power it up and go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then like throw it, and it's bigger than if she went 1, 2 and threw it.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a detonation sequence or whatever to it.
Yeah, there's like a power level, and it's almost like like you were throwing a grenade with a timer.
Yeah,
it's really
Which is an interesting power because it just built into it is a level of suspense, because if you really want to hurt someone that's hurting you, you got to count to 10. And power it up.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming there's, you can't just be like, what do they, you have to be like 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000.
Yeah, it's like actually hold the
So, yeah, it's just a cool power. But yeah, Boom Boom sees these guys capturing the kids from X Factor, and she's like, I got to do something. So she follows them, and I like that she just walks right past Calabasas. She like stops for a second, like, oh my God. And she's like, ugh. She even says, oh, yuck. I can't help him, and just like walks over him because Caliban.
I think you said Calabastard.
I said Calabasas, which is a city in Los Angeles. Caliban is the guy's name. And he's played by Stephen Merchant, which he was fantastic in Logan. But yeah, in this he's like, if you've ever seen him in the movie, he's like albino, but in this he's actually like kind of looks alienish.
Yeah,
he's got white skin, but it's like more like an alien or something, like a Steven Spielberg alien.
Yeah,
not like Aliens alien. So, but she just walks over him and is like, ugh, can't help that guy. And then just continues to follow them and like track them down. She follows them all the way to an airport and sees them getting tied up on a plane. And she's like, oh, I can just get on this plane real quick and untie them. And before she can, the plane takes off and she's stuck on the plane with them. So she's like hiding behind a box because they don't know she's there. And like I said, all the kids have power dampener helmets on, so they can't use their powers. And it seemed like the helmets weren't just like placed on them. It's like they're wrapped around their head so that they can't take them off.
It was almost like they were like screwed on. Yeah, it kind of felt like it.
Yeah, like they must like click into place and like around their neck or something, or their chin at least.
Yeah, because
they later they get free and they try to like take them off, and like there's no way to take them off. You can't just pull them off your head or whatever. Yeah. So it's very interesting. But the X Factor guys come home and they're like, "What happened, Caliban?" Luckily, he wasn't dead. His I guess mutant constitution allows him to survive like 15 tranquilizer darts in his chest. So he lives, and he says, someone, these guys came and I couldn't do anything.
I suck.
He's very angry that he couldn't do anything, and that they stole the kids. So of course, X Factor must.
I do like them. Iceman offers to help. He's like, well, I'll help you learn how to fight a little bit. That's
Yeah, and a couple other some of the kids, like Richter, I believe, says like, hey, Caliban, I'll help you, fight. Or whatever. So like it seems like he was getting some kind of help from these guys, but we find out later it's a little he wants some more help. If you know what I mean. So anyway, Boom Boom follows. I thought I'm like, how the fuck did she do this? The plane lands, and this is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles episode for sure.
For real.
because the plane lands, she's able to let everybody get off. She escapes from the plane herself, and then follows them as they take buses to an unknown facility. And I was like, how the fuck did she run along a mountain pass? Basically, you just see hills on either side of this, street highway that they're driving on. And she's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep up, but she is keeping up with these buses of children. So I was like, wow, she's doing a really good job. Really good job. But she eventually follows them to this building.
The Arlington International Museum of Science.
Yeah, and this is Arlington,
Virginia,
yeah. I was going to say not like Texas.
Yeah.
Virginia, Arlington. Because they talk about the cemetery, right, or something. So,
the National Cemetery.
Yeah, so they mentioned that, so it's in Virginia, and it's like a national building for science. And they go there, and she's like, why are they taking these kids to a science building? But it kind of gives her cover, because a kid at a museum isn't really a weird sight. So she's able to just walk in, but little does she know, they have people monitoring cameras and looking for mutants.
Yeah.
All over the place. They're ready. They have files on people. And when she walks in, they're like, we got one right away. There's not even she doesn't even barely get into the building. Yeah. And they're like, we got one. It's Boom Boom. We know who she is. We got lots of files on her. So she's trying to call 911 when they approach her, and she runs out and is able to kind of escape. And in the meantime, the kids are just being horribly abused in a room. They're just being beaten up and thrown around, and a lot of the kids, they don't have powers anymore, so they're just getting beat up, and
they're beating up children at this point.
Yeah, literally beating up children. It's a pretty hardcore scene if for a Marvel X-Men comic, I thought. And so we haven't seen much of Hodge. He's kind of in the background so far, but we do get another shot of Apocalypse, and Apocalypse is like, yes, my fourth Horseman is almost done. Death. I can't wait to reveal you, because the Apocalypse or the Horsemen are for Apocalypse, pestilence, war, famine, and death is the last one.
Aw, poor thing can't hear. No, I think he said death.
Death. Yeah.
Sorry, that is a rookie. No, it's a Robot Chicken.
Oh, okay.
They have it's My Little Pony Apocalypse Pony. I swear, as a side note, anybody listening, that is the funniest sketch I think I've ever seen from that show. It's My Little Pony Apocalypse Pony, and this little kids are playing with the ponies, and then they all come alive, and the parents are like, oh, and they're sweet, and they all start saying what they are, and then that one comes on, and it's like, and I'm Death Pony, and the mom's like, oh, poor thing can't hear. No, Mom, he didn't say deaf. I think he said death. Yeah, it's freaking hysterical.
Nice.
Anyway,
I need to watch that one. But yeah, so all the other agents of Apocalypse, whatever they're Horsemen of Apocalypse, and there's a horse lady. She's that's Pestilence, right?
Yeah.
So Pestilence is a horse lady,
and they actually have golden robot horses that they ride.
Yes, which I thought was kind of badass, actually. Famine is like a child. He's like a young boy.
Yeah.
And then War is a disabled veteran that Apocalypse gave him a suit that will let him be able to walk again and stuff. He does have a Mo from the Three Stooges haircut.
Yeah.
Or Dumb and Dumber. He's got the Lloyd haircut.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looks pretty stupid, but apparently he was a badass veteran or something that was paralyzed in some war, and probably Vietnam, if I'm going by
probably for time frame.
Yeah. And so he's able to walk again by Apocalypse giving him this mech suit. So obviously he's a veteran, so he's War,
Yeah.
And so all they needed was death, and they are kind of angry that they're like, who's this guy, And Apocalypse is like, no, this is gonna be great. In fact, he actually makes them fight later, like to see who will be the leader. But obviously, we know who's gonna be the leader. But we don't actually see Death. We just see a shadowy person with wings.
You're like,
huh? Who could that be? Who could that be? So in the meantime, we cut back to Boom Boom, and she is crawling through the vent system, just like you can, of course. I would know that.
Every vent system is big enough for a human being to crawl through.
Yes, totally. And they're perfectly clean. You don't get dirty in them.
No, there's definitely no dust in there. They're cleaned regularly.
There's no fan blades or anything going on.
Nope.
There. So
just big open rectangular metal
human-sized
boxes.
ducks, all right, that are strong enough to lift people.
Yeah, that exactly. That can hold a whole person. Like, we'll say a 250-pound muscular dude.
Yeah, fully.
Like crawling around.
Fully. That's what me and John are, 250-pound muscular.
All muscle.
Yeah. So anyway, she's looking through the vents and she sees these children being tortured. Like, I don't know what they're doing to them. Like, they're trying to get information out of them, obviously, but they are just like, they're in this machine. And I don't know what it's doing, but it's not good. They're pushing, it's probably like an electrical thing or something where they're shocking them to death. But it's not looking good. Boom Boom is able to make a distraction with her boom boom.
Her boom boom powers.
Her powers. And they run out like, what was that? And the guys run out and leave the kid that was being tortured unattended. And she's able to break him out. And it's Richter who she breaks out. And she breaks his helmet. And this is where I was like, oh, apparently it doesn't just come off. Because it doesn't look like it goes around the chin or anything. But apparently it's like on there because she's like, I have to blow it off like with my powers. So I don't want to like blow your head off. So
and
hold
one.
Still. Yeah, exactly. Like 1, 1, 2. No,
no, please don't blow up his head.
Yeah. And so the helmet blows off, and then he's able to like do earthquakes again. So they have a big chase scene where he's able to like the guards are chasing them, and he's able to like shake the. Of course, it's kind of like there's just rooms. It's kind of like a Galaxy Quest where there's just weird rooms of. Like, why is this sky, what's that called?
Like
catwalk.
Catwalk.
There's catwalks everywhere in this room for no reason. Why is this here underneath the museum? Who the fuck knows? But there's a room of catwalks.
Secret levels underground. Where
yes.
They have.
And so these catwalks, of course, they don't like being shaken with earthquake powers. So it breaks while they're on it. And basically they have to give themselves up in order to get saved because Cameron Hodges comes out and is like, give me your hand or else you will die. And then he comes out and he reveals himself in a very stupid suit, I would say. I was like, they make Cameron Hodge look very stupid in this. What was his name that he gave himself? Commander.
Yeah.
He's I don't think this was a commentary necessarily on, because this would be too political for the time, I think. But the name of the bad guys that he controls, the group, is called the Right. And I think it's the right, like it's my right kind of thing. So that's what I believe it's called like that for, because it's their human rights. God damn it! And so he's got a stupid suit on where he calls himself the commander, and he's in charge of these idiots that are capturing these mutant children. So now they have Boom Boom, and they have the other guy back, Richter, and now they're going to experiment on everybody. And their whole plan is to like. It's to experiment on mutants in order to figure out anything useful we can learn from them, and also
better control it. Basically, like make them slaves.
Yeah, like it's basically like if we learn you more, we'll figure out how to like tame you because you're some kind of like terrible gene, and you need to be like subdued and submitted to our will. So yeah, they basically are like, we're gonna make you new slaves. So fun time for the Right. No commentary on politics.
No.
It just happens to fit well in our current day and age. Or at least, it seems like it would be political. If this came out now, that would certainly would have that conversation. Yeah. I can't imagine there wouldn't have been an uproar at the time. Because Reagan's in this book.
That's true.
They have a picture of Ronald Reagan in this book. I would think that Marvel wouldn't let that slide as like editorial or whatever. They would call that out. So I don't think it was called the right and the left as much back then. Just based on what's being said in this book.
Yeah.
So then while Cameron Hodge has all the kids, and they're going to start testing on them and everything. The X Factor have followed Caliban because he can sense mutant powers all the way to this museum. And I was like, okay, so how far can he feel mutants?
Pretty far. That's the only thing about his power is that it's apparently pretty far stretching.
It's like a bloodhound for mutant powers.
For mutants.
So maybe if he knows who the mutant is, he can feel it easier or something. Like he can pick it out. Maybe that's what it is. But it just seemed like, wow, he just can follow that whole bus, huh? Like they took a plane from New York to Arlington, Virginia, and then took buses through the countryside to this museum or whatever. So it seems like, yeah, exactly. He knows what she smells like, but specifically Boom Boom.
Yeah, he had a crush on the one.
Yeah,
Boom Boom.
We don't want to say that these are all underage kids.
These are all underage kids.
So anyway, X Factor follows them to the museum, and they break in and, of course, start taking out the guards and everything. And they are horrified when they get to the room that Cameron Hodge has these kids strung up by their arms. And, everybody's there. I don't know what the fuck they're about to do. Just, totally electrocute them and fuck with them, basically. And right when Cameron Hodges goes in or sees them breaking into the room in the building, he's like, we must attack them. So he sends his Smilers to attack, and everybody's attacking them. And he puts on a special suit. His suit is made of.
I was gonna say what I wrote it down specifically. It's some kind of crystal. It's a ruby quartz. It's the only thing that can block Scott Summers' optic blast.
And I believe that is true. That is lore because that's what Scott Summers' sunglasses are made of as a Cyclops when he's walking around as Cyclops.
That makes sense. I will say I really like that this comic. We get several costume and character changes like that because when they first see him, they have X Factor all the same uniforms on, and Scott's wearing those the glasses from the 90s like Superman wore too, but they were green when he came back.
Right.
The really big his red light colored glasses that then he can
ruby. They're called ruby
colored. Pardon me, obviously. And then in G, but they're all blue with a little X on them. And now here they kind of have obviously the X Factor is in flux because Hodge is in control, so they kind of went back to
they don't have their costumes.
Yeah. So they have their older costumes, so they kind of have it's almost original X-Men costumes.
Specifically Jean Grey's is the original. It's green and yellow.
And when Cyclops is he because you could see his locks earlier, and now it's all covered up. He's got his dome on with his. He looks like Frozone, but.
Frozone, yes.
It's like that.
Exactly,
it's like that kind of costume.
From Incredibles. And Beast, he's got one that's black or blue, but it's got a red
tights,
X.
Yeah,
he's got his tights on. And Iceman just walks around naked all the time.
Basically. He's like, I'm just big solid black
ice stick
baby.
Just hanging out, just all over the place. Anyway, so then we cut to Apocalypse on his ship, and he's watching this happen. He's watching the fight happen, and he's like, it's almost time. But first, we must see who will lead you all. We must fight you against death, and whoever wins gets to lead the team. And so he has
bring on death.
Yeah, and we should also say the suits that the other team members of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse are wearing are all color coordinated. They're red, and they're mech suits and they all have these masks on that kind of fit their personalities.
Yeah, Pestilence. I really like Pestilence and Famines.
Yes,
because Famines is very he looks gaunt because of it. That's pretty awesome.
Yes, the way that they draw his cheeks and everything. So, so and then Death, when we see him come out, he does not look like them at all. He's covered in blue. He's got a luchador mask on, kind of, but it fits his whole uniform or his whole spandex suit because. That is all blue, and then there's these purple lines all around it, kind of in tribal looking writing or whatever on him, or glyphics on him.
It kind of feels reminiscent of Apocalypse's colors.
Yeah, for sure.
So very much.
Yeah, it seems like this one is means a lot to Apocalypse.
Yeah,
and he's flying around. He kicks their ass. I mean, Death goes around and he's like,
squee!
Yeah. John was mentioning
the onomatopoeia, and this is fantastic.
Yeah, he's just every time he flies by, his wings are cutting and stuff. We get to see what his powers are. Basically, he can throw his wings are made of metal, and they throw feathers.
Yeah, metal feathers.
That's what they call them,
like
but I'm
blades?
like, so it's literally just blades that come out of them. But he could throw an infinite amount of them, like birds. If they lose their feathers, they just grow back.
Yeah,
real quick.
So apparently that works for him too. It's pretty awesome though. It looks cool.
Yeah, but he's able to defeat all of them pretty quickly,
very quickly,
and they don't even stand a chance for the most part. And so then we cut back to the kids and the X Factor fighting. And the greatest thing, I like this part a lot. The kids, while X Factor's fighting, they're fighting the Smiler mech guys and Cameron Hodge, and the kids get out, and they're like, because they start saying like, well, if they're fighting and they're distracted, we might as well try to get out. And they're like, well, we don't have any powers. It's like, but what did Hank tell us? Hank McCoy Beast, he told us you got to use your mind when you don't have powers. And so they are able to figure out how to get out of the hanging ceiling devices that they were hanging from. And this is great. They tackle a guard and they get his Uzi, and Richter just starts shooting at the guards. I thought it was pretty awesome. I'm like, yes, that is what you do when you're captured. You just, and there's some great shots of him like like just straight up shooting.
Just a little kid with an Uzi.
A kid with a gun. You would never, in a million years nowadays, unless it was some weird throwback indie comic or something, where a kid has a gun, especially like an Uzi, and is shooting it at it. And it's not like a very special issue. It's not like a very special episode of X Factor or whatever.
No, yeah, just...
But I just thought that was funny. I was like, no way they would ever show that. But it doesn't really matter because like everybody's wearing a mech suit pretty much, so he can't really hurt them. But the X Factor, it kind of distracts the mech guys, and the X Factor guys are able to defeat them, or at least somewhat. It's like there's a back and forth always going on. But the main thing that happens is Hodge, like we said, comes out in his ruby quartz suit. Now, when I say ruby quartz suit, he's wearing his commander suit, like the costume, inside of this crystal. It's not even a suit.
He basically looks like a Minecraft character. It's translucent, but he's all blocks.
Yes. Imagine you covered him in, what are those candies called? The rock candy.
Oh, like rock? Yes, that's perfect.
You poured rock candy juice all over him. It hardened, and it's ruby quartz see-through.
Yeah.
And so he looks like that. He could move.
Apparently, he could.
I don't know how this shit moves on him, but it's a comic, so you don't need to figure the physics out of that or anything. Like, he's able to punch Cyclops, and Cyclops can't get him. But in a great move, I thought, this was them working together as a team, Iceman touches him and is able to freeze like a section of the ruby quartz, just enough so that it cracks. It creates a little crack, and as we know, Scott Summers, he got that.
He just needs
eagle
a little
eye.
Crack.
Yeah, all he needs is a little crack, and he can zoom in with his vision and hit that, and he does that, and it makes inside. I thought this was cool because they kind of showed it earlier where it bounces off, right? So it just reflects back. So he shoots it into the crack, and the crack, because it's inside the suit now, it just bounces around. The laser bounces around the suit, and it doesn't hit Cameron. I was like, oh, I thought it would like kill him, but it just breaks the suit apart. And then I thought this was fucking cool. Like the second the crystal shatters around Cameron Hodge's head, Cyclops is like, "See ya, motherfucker," and just uses like a full blast and blows his fucking head off.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? And then they don't do this shit anymore. So I was actually like, wow, he fucking murdered him. And then the next thing you see is, oh, it was a robot face. Of course, Cameron Hodge, then the robot talks or whatever, comes on the screen and says, "Ha, you thought I would face you, really?"
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to put myself in danger. I sent my robot, Cameron Hodge robot, to fight you. And, so like.
Aha, to fight another day.
To fight another day. And so,
but I mean, it literally, like the panel looks like he just destroyed him.
Yeah, and I liked that a lot. Actually. I was like, that was fucking cool. You totally tricked me. But anyway, the X Factor are able to break the kids out and escape. And does the building blow up because he sets it to blow up, or it just blow? Oh, I think it blows up because of all the damage they did to the equipment. So this is a museum with potentially people inside.
Yep, and all the lower levels are blown up now.
Yeah, I mean, it shows the upper levels blowing up.
That's right.
The entire building explodes. So hopefully, those guards that were just working 9 to 5 got out. Probably not though. It's like the contractors on the Death Star.
Oh yeah.
So shit just gets blown up. So, and then we cut to as they come home from or back to the X Factor building or whatever, and we see that Apocalypse is watching them on screen. So like he's got the ability. He's got cameras everywhere too, just like Cameron Hodge. He's watching them.
That guy's always got cameras.
He's watching them take a shit. He's whatever. He's on. He's on what's going on. So he sees them enter the building with the kids, and all of a sudden there's a flash of light in the building because Apocalypse turns a handle or whatever, and magically the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse show up in the room with them, and then the next issue starts, and we get the cover of this is very cool. This is like the main issue where like you get to see Apocalypse fight everybody in the 4 Horsemen. So it's got a really cool cover, and it's like I think it's the first cover appearance of Death.
Yeah.
And so you might be asking yourself, why is he called Death? I thought this was Archangel. Well, later on he calls himself Archangel, but this is just how he became Archangel. So in this he's just called Death because he's part of one of the 4 Horsemen of Apocalypse. Oh, and you know what? I had it wrong. I thought they teleported into the room. They actually teleported the X Factor guys to Apocalypse's ship.
To the ship.
So it was the reverse of what I thought.
So yeah, they don't appear. The 4 Horsemen don't appear. They appear on the ship.
Yeah. So what the kids see is just the X Factor guys, Jean Grey, Cyclops, Iceman, and Beast disappear in a blinding light, and then they're left.
And Caliban.
And Caliban too. And they're left. And also Caliban has like a cool suit that he put on like with a helmet and stuff. He doesn't look all alien and like he looks like I don't know.
Yeah, he looked like he would be a team member, like he's got a special suit on. But again, he
looks more like a robot with his mask on and everything. So, but yeah, I guess he's there just because he was with them. He gets teleported too, and this is where we get to see like Hank McCoy. He's using his strength a lot in a lot of these battles, which makes him get dumber and dumber. So over the course of these issues, he's gotten more and more like just meatheadish, not thinking about doing stuff before he's acting.
Yeah, the other members of the team very much like when something happens, they're like, "Whoa, Hank! Like, think about like what's going to happen here."
If I don't care about thinking. I just want to smash stuff. I'm strong.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, very hulkish.
Yeah, and so Apocalypse appears before them and is like, try to do what you want, but you'll never bring the ship down because it's my awesome ship, and so they start to try to fight him, but Apocalypse is better than all of them. He's too strong. He's been around for too long and fought enough mutants. I actually like that they show what Apocalypse can do in this because I don't know if we've ever seen them. I haven't seen what his powers are really. I mean, I think in the show maybe they showed him.
They probably, but it's been so long. Yeah.
In this, it's kind of like his body is like a robot, but it can extend like its legs.
Kind of Inspector Gadgety.
Yes. There you go. Apocalypse is like Inspector Gadget. He's got the ability to like kind of turn his hands into whatever shapes he wants, but it looks like it's metal shapes. Like his body is some kind of metal, and he can make it expand or contract or get taller or bigger or whatever. So he can kind of blow himself up. And then as he defeats them, he's like, "Haha, you are no match for me." He gives them a breakdown of exactly how much power he is, why they can't defeat him. That he goes back into his history and says, like, I was a god, everybody worshipped me, and every different culture had another name for me, and I was fucking awesome, and you can't defeat me if I've been around that long. And then he tells them that Cameron Hodge, ruined Angel and, like, destroyed him and his spirit, but guess what? He wasn't dead. Like, you thought he was dead, but I took him in.
Yeah, basically he like they made it seem like
they show what happened is Cameron Hodge, I guess, made it look like Angel committed suicide by blowing up his plane, and before the plane exploded, and I don't know if Angel was going to kill himself. It's just he made it look like Angel was going to, and the plane blew up. So before the plane exploded, I guess Apocalypse knew that Cameron was going to do that. And just like picked him out, just teleported him out right before the explosion, and then was able to corrupt him and make him Death. And so that's how this all happened. And he's not really telling them all that fully. He's just saying, your Warren is alive, and I can't believe you betrayed him by not even looking for him, and his his wings were amputated and you didn't do anything, all that kind of stuff. He's making him feel bad about what they did to Angel. Yeah. And so he's like, now you will fight my people or whatever, and or his horsemen. And so they all fight. Famine looks so little. He just looks like Tiny Tim or something. But on top of a giant metal, they're not horses. They're like beasts.
Beasts.
They ride these giant metal beasts that are pretty badass looking. War has like a giant, kind of looks like one of the animals from Hunger Games at the end, like the wolves or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
And then like the other two just have weird looking, cool designs, but I don't know what the fuck you would call them. They look dinosaurs or something. They look like. But that's cool though. And they begin fighting, and everybody's fighting, of course. Very cool fight scenes in this. A lot of action. A lot of. I never felt like bored reading this. You know, there's a lot of. I did feel like it took me a while to get through each issue, but not in like a this is terrible writing. It was more like there's just a lot to read, but in a good way. Like everybody's talking, everybody's explaining stuff, everybody's fighting.
And specifically, this fight, this is actually, I think, my favorite set of panels in this series because you have Apocalypse talking in one panel. Like
he's like monologuing while they're fighting.
He's hardcore monologuing while they're fighting. Yeah. Then we get, several panels on the side breaking up. Sometimes there's 4, sometimes there's like 6 on there of them fighting. And then the very bottom panel is Caliban just coming to from like coming onto the ship. Yeah. And so it's cool because you're wondering like, well, because he doesn't have a power really that's going to affect this. What is he going to do? Because it shows him like start to get up, and then it slowly, like every time the next page turns, it zooms in on his eyes, and you're like, oh shit, like what is he going to contribute, or what is he going to do? Is he, because he says he wants more, like, so what's going on? I like that there was so many things going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, they know how to write the fuck out of a page. You know what I'm saying? Like they know how to build up. Back then, they knew how to build up like panel grids and layouts in order to build suspense.
I was gonna say this was legitimate suspense in a comic.
Yes, and same with when Cyclops shot that guy's head off. I was like, "What the fuck? Like, that's crazy." And also, there's a moment that comes up in a second, or not in a second, in a little bit, that made me also go, "What the fuck?" But then it was like, "Oh, okay." So we'll get there. But so, like you said, Caliban is watching the X-Men beat the 4 Horsemen of Apocalypse. Apocalypse doesn't look very happy about that.
We should say the 4 Horsemen,
the 3 Horsemen.
3 so far.
Yeah, Death has not come out. He's saving him for the last, the big grand finale.
Yeah, which is funny because last time they almost got their asses handed to him from these 3.
Yeah, so they've gotten better at least because as we know, not Angel, but
Beast.
Beast.
Beast is stronger.
Yeah, he's stronger now, but really stronger because he's been using his powers a lot. So as he gets stronger, the more he uses that, the dumber he gets. So he's more feral, I would say, or just more.
That's a good, feral, like when Wolverine goes.
Yeah, he's just in attack mode all the time now. So he's not holding back when he fights. So he's getting better on some of these. And even Iceman is able to like grab Famine and like freeze him, but he doesn't like kill him. He's just like I can't move or whatever, like, and as he grabs him, so he doesn't kill him or anything, but he puts him out of commission. And so as they're like, haha, we beat your best, and he's like, that's not my best, and he's like, here, you will have to defeat Death, and he brings him out, and this is a cool like reveal moment where he walks out and you see his wings go like cha-ching, and they just shoot out of the sides, and it's very like glorious. Yeah. And Caliban is like, that's fucking.
Yeah, he's totally like the kid in the comic, like reading this page, like, oh, that's badass.
Yeah,
he looks so fucking cool.
I think that's where this turns, right, for Caliban, because as we find out later, Caliban sees all this stuff and he starts hearing what Apocalypse is saying while they're fighting, and he sees how badass everything's going on, and also we see that the reveal of Death takes off his helmet, and who is it but our friend Angel? Is not dead. Nope. He reveals it, for real. Like, not that he wasn't dead, but that he's corrupted him into this, death incarnate or whatever. This warrior for.
Yeah, he specifically tells them like, no, like I realized like, that basically like before I wasn't really even like my true self. Like now I am like Apocalypse have shown me the way and like help build me, and I am who I am supposed to be. I am Death.
Yeah, and he totally buys into the idea that they didn't care about him. Like, they let him cut his wings off, or Hodge to like talk him into cutting his wings off. They didn't put up a fight. They didn't say anything. They let him pay for everything too. I mean, he's paying for everybody's salary and where they live and all that stuff. He's also like when he died, they didn't search or question anything. They weren't like, well, is it weird that his body's not here? They're just like, well, I guess he's dead. Like, we buy it, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, he was sad.
No body. Okay.
Yeah,
Well.
there was no like try to figure it out. It was just, oh yeah, I guess he's dead. And you know what? Where's his money going? Who's gonna get control of X Factor? Like that was the next issue, was them being like, who's gonna control X Factor?
That's
so
true.
They're not being the best of friends, and Apocalypse used that to kind of turn him against them and agree to be on his team. And so now they have to fight their buddy, who's now called Death. And we get to see his badass wings throw knives at everybody, and of course they're laced with poison or whatever. Not poison, like tranquilizer. Yeah. So it kind of slows everybody down. I liked that. I was like, oh, I never heard of that before. Like I never read the comics, but in the TV show they didn't.
Yeah, I didn't remember.
He did not have sedatives on his wing tips or whatever when he throws it out, or his feather tips. And I love it. Like, this is one of those things that can only be done in the comic. There's no way to engineer these wings in real life in a movie.
Yeah.
Because literally it just turns, like they just turn sideways as he's standing, and it just shoots out of his wings. There's no holes or anything. It just like coming off of them are feathers that aren't there before. So there's like no way to make this into reality. I just think it looks really good on the page. And I think that they know that. They're like, whatever. Fine.
But yeah.
It's a cool design. So yeah, everybody's kind of passing out from getting like cut by his knives and tranquilized. And they are able to get subdued and tied down, or like chained, or not. What would this be called? Not locked down, I guess.
Yeah, locked down. Yeah.
It's got like these big manacles that are attached to these like grave shaped, or like not graves,
like operating tables, but they look like coffin
coffins.
Shaped.
That's the word I was thinking. Coffin shaped operating tables that are made of stone or metal or something.
Yeah,
and he's tying them down, and he's saying like, you should join me, and you know, we'll all be like able to defeat the humans, and you'll be awesome, and I'll give you all the power you've ever wanted, and you just have to serve me.
Basically, Apocalypse is like, I basically make your X gene, your whatever your mutant power is, like to
better.
Its ultimate ability.
Yeah, even just fighting me, you see how far you've come. You defeated the 3 that defeated you before. So like, I'm making you better by challenging you and bringing you forward and all this stuff.
He's trying. I give him that. Like, he
makes a good argument.
Yeah.
So, but they don't buy it. You know, I mean, Cyclops is like, fuck you, basically. And but then this kind of coup de grace that happens that really makes the X Factor guys angry is Apocalypse is like, all right, like, you know, all the war now that Angel has defeated them, or Death has defeated them, he can now lead my 3 horsemen, my 3 other horsemen, into battle against the humans and destroy Manhattan and New York in general. Like, they're just gonna kill everybody is what the idea, or at least start causing havoc down in the city. And that is where it kind of goes too far. Like, for them, they're like, no, that can't happen. Kind of, it's like the big crux. Like, oh no, he's going to destroy the city, kill all the humans in New York. In the meantime, Caliban comes around the corner and he's like, hey guys, I'm like, oh my God, Caliban, you got to help us, you got to free us. And he's like, why would I want to do that? You were all defeated, and this guy's talking some good. Very persuasive.
Y'all are kind of like me right now. You guys can't hack this. You guys' powers don't mean anything.
So he literally goes up to Apocalypse, who looks very annoyed at first, like, what's this guy going to do? And he just bows down to Apocalypse and says, please, if you can give me power like you did to Angel, I will serve you. Like, I'll do whatever you want. And he's like, of course I can. Of course I can give you power. Just serve me and you'll be fine. So, he's like, okay, then I'll serve you, you know, body and soul. I'm your Caliban. I'm your man now, Apocalypse. And he just totally betrays his
friend. It was a fun turn. Like, because I was saying, the whole time you seeing that with him watching, and you're like, oh, is he gonna finally like try to sneak and help, or what's he gonna do? And now it was literally him being like, oh man, that Angel guy's that guy with the wings is
so fucking
he's so
cool.
Badass. I want to be like him.
He's so
Apocalypse did that.
Cool.
Wow, I gotta go talk to this Apocalypse guy.
Yes, and so and then we get to the last issue, pretty much, of this run, or the story arc, is we start off with
Judgment Day.
Judgment Day. It is the 4 horsemen of Apocalypse careening through the city, blowing up buildings, running into water towers. Everything's falling from
There's
the sky.
so much going on these pages, but it never feels overwhelming. Like
No,
it never. I can't never not tell what's happening.
Walter Simonson is a fucking master.
It looks so good. Yeah.
Yeah, he's fantastic. And you know what? They still had comics coming out today. They did issues called as a comic called X-Men Legends that started coming out last year. That was them doing issues. It was like stories that they wanted to do but weren't able to do back then.
Yeah.
So they'll say like this story takes place between issues 22 and 23.
I think you mentioned that. Yeah.
And so they get to fill in little cool things that never got to be made, but now they're kind of bringing it back. And they wrote stories together in this to fill in for, I think, X Factor or one of those.
That's cool. I want to go back and check that.
It's cool. Yeah. And so it's just, I mean, Walt Simonson and Louise Simonson are a great team together, great creative team. But Apocalypse is watching them, his 4 horsemen kick some ass. And I mean, this is pretty fucked up. They're literally murdering people.
Oh, yeah.
Like Famine is going around and like touching people or like putting his powers on people. And they are just wasting away.
Within like seconds, you just see people's like bodies
it's
suck
like
in.
Thinner. It's like a movie Thinner. But like way better looking.
It's so cool.
And like literally he talks about how their skin melts at a certain point. Like it just melts off and dissolves. What the fuck? That's pretty hardcore in a kid's comic in the 80s. And yeah, so that's like what they're watching on this program. Pestilence is going around and making people like disease ridden and stuff, and they're dying from diseases on all of a sudden. And they're also like he's talking about like how they need to exterminate these people, the governments of the earth and stuff, apocalypses. And he's making them watch this giant TV screen of Ronald Reagan in a cowboy hat signing like whatever documents about, whatever South American country they're going to bomb.
Probably. Or he does talk about like the Mutant Registration Act. Like
yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Like, oh, we're all like basically like NATO is going to sign or like NAFTA is going to sign like a group agreement to like register aliens or whatever.
Yeah, y'all are gonna have to, be taken out or part of this anyway. So like, what does this matter to you?
Yeah, and so, but he's trying to make that point. Like that's why you should join us because look at the human governments are against you, and he's still trying to convince them. But they're not having it. And Hank McCoy, Beast, he's so strong now. He literally can dig his fingers into the metal. Face of the thing that's holding him down, like the table. I mean, it looks like a solid piece of metal, like literally just a 10,000 pound thing of like coffin shaped metal. That doesn't look like those circuits or it's a machine or whatever. And he just digs his fingers into there and grabs a chunk and is able to flick it at Iceman's belt, which is we forgot to say earlier. There's a belt that they put on Iceman to like dampen his power.
Yeah. It doesn't get rid of it completely because he's still able to do it.
It actually helps him control it when they put it on him originally because his powers have gone so out of whack. But Hank McCoy's like dink and shoots like thumbs the piece over to him, like flips a coin kind of over to him.
Yeah.
And it hits the belt and kills it. And then Iceman is able to break free because his powers aren't dampened at all anymore. Yeah. And they start trying to fight. He breaks everybody else out and they start trying to fight Apocalypse again. And this is where kind of like the main problem happens especially with Hank. We see like he's so dumb now that he can't think like strategically or anything. It's just like Hulk smash, basically.
Yeah, basically because they're all like trying to work together, and Hank's a little off kilter because he's just throwing shit around on the ship now.
Yeah,
like trying to get Apocalypse.
Yeah, and he throws specifically something at the. What is it, like the gyroscope or inside of it?
Yeah, whatever the main, like, obviously, like, holds the ship in power.
The anti-gravity device or something, yeah. And it makes it so the ship starts crashing. In the meantime, like, while they were fighting Apocalypse, somehow, I didn't quite get this, but I guess Apocalypse opens the doors and Jean Grey and, actually, everybody starts to fall out of the ship. And Hank is able to pull Iceman back with his feet. Because he's like, like a monkey kind of with his beast powers. And but Jean Grey and Cyclops fall, and they just fall down into the city area. So once they leave the ship, you can't see it anymore. It's like invisible. So there's no way to see it. And so they are just kind of like, well, I guess while we're out here, we just need to fight, the the Four Horsemen because we need to stop them murdering everybody. And they are, like we said, literally murdering a bunch of people.
It literally just shows like people dead all around in the streets.
Yeah. And so it was pretty cool to watch them fight. And Marvel, well, they call her Marvel Girl, but also Jean Grey is fighting Famine, and this is pretty fucked up. He like wastes her body, and I thought it was fucked up. He's like, "You look better now," because like she's like super thin. I don't know if that was like a comment about like looks or something, or just in general like he's creepy and weird.
I think he's just being creepy.
Okay. But like you can see like her uniform deflates around her.
Oh yeah.
So like her costume just totally looks like deflated around her, where her body used to fill it out, doesn't anymore. She looks very skinny, and then Cyclops takes on War, and you get like pretty big epic fight scenes where Cyclops has to figure out how to like defeat him, and shoots his laser beams into the horse that he's riding on, or the beast that he's riding on, shoots it into that metal monster's mouth, and it explodes, and then War is left because he was paralyzed. His suit starts malfunctioning as this is going on, and he's like not able to really fully walk anymore and stuff. So it's kind of interesting how his suit works.
Yeah,
I thought. So yeah. Anyway, we're left with Apocalypse on the ship with Iceman and Beast, and this is where you get like everything starts crashing down in the ship. It's falling, and Apocalypse is just like, well, you fucked it up. Now you get to see if you can fly it or whatever, and just disappears. He's like, see ya. And he like teleports himself out of there and leaves them to have to figure out how to deal with this. And the plane is flying towards the building. And not only when he disappears and Hank is still, smashing shit, it kills the cloaking device. So now all of a sudden, this ship just appears above the sky.
Everybody can see it. All the humans are saying, oh my God, aliens, a spaceship, the end of the world, Judgment Day. And it starts running into buildings as it's like thrown off base. So, or it's thrown off like its kilter, its gyroscope. And it actually runs into... Was it the Empire State Building?
The Empire State Building. I don't know what was on top of the Empire State Building, but apparently it's some kind of like observatory or something. It just runs into it like the tower. Or this is the antenna. That's what it is. And so it hits the antenna, and that starts to fall, and Jean Grey is able to like hold it up. But then I like this part. Death just comes over Angel, and his wings can cut through anything. So he just literally cuts through this stone building, and now there's two halves, and she can't lift two halves.
She's like trying to balance it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so. We should also say in the meantime, Power Pack shows up, and they're like little kids, but they don't matter.
Yeah, so. They just show up randomly, and they're like, we're here to help. And they're like, okay, you guys hold that side of the building.
Yeah, and so they don't really do much, but they were able to like save people. They were very excited about being fighting with the adults. I thought that was cute. And they also, like later on, they have, I think the next issue is a Power Pack issue, but it's like,
it's their perspective of what's going on here. They're like, what? There's a big fight going on.
It literally recounts the exact same story, but from the point of view of Power Pack.
Yeah.
So I would say it is a good issue as far as like the art's really good and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then so we're left with Death is the last one standing of the Four Horsemen, and he's got to fight everybody now.
But so Apocalypse kind of reappears. So he didn't like go off of the ship. He just
teleported to a different area.
Basically, like why Hank was like going berserk in there, and so we have Jean and Cyclops jump on like one of the other horses or the beasts.
Yeah, and they come back to the ship.
Yeah.
So now that everybody can see the ship, they can get back on it. So now everybody's back on the ship, and it's just Angel, who's kind of kicking everyone's ass, or Archangel, or Death, or whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
And Apocalypse is watching this, and Iceman comes up with a great idea. And this was the scene that I was saying, holy shit.
Yeah, that's true, yes.
Because it confused me. It got me really good. So Iceman is like, hey, like, why don't you attack someone your own size, basically, and just starts fighting Angel. And Angel just, I don't know what he's thinking. He's thinking, I'm going to, like, beat this guy up or whatever. He flies through Iceman and breaks him into pieces.
Yes.
And when he does that, he realized, everybody goes, Warren and Iceman, and all the X-Men are like, what the fuck? You just killed Iceman. Yeah. Angel yells out, Bobby, because he went too far and he knows it. Like that snapped him out of whatever brainwashing Apocalypse did. And Apocalypse was like, well done, my fourth horseman. You are the finest or whatever. And Angel's like, no, I've killed one of my friends. Like, this is one of my best friends. I didn't mean to kill him. I thought we were just kind of like fighting, I guess. But I thought we were going to like turn him into one of us, not murder him.
I thought I was going to beat the crap out of him, and then they were going to join us.
Yeah, not like totally kill him. So he starts freaking out, and Apocalypse was like, what was the problem? And he's like, you made me kill my friend. And so he starts attacking Apocalypse. And that's when it's like, oh, great, everything's good. And then we see that Iceman actually is alive, and he like made a ice version of himself.
A copycat
version of himself that was like just standing there right as Angel came and like went through him. So that's why that's how he was able to not die. But even I thought this was funny.
It was a good fake out.
It was, because I thought it was real at first. And I was like, there's no way they kill Iceman in this. But you never know back then.
Yeah.
Back then, you could just kill someone, and then like a couple issues later, it's like, we found a resurrection machine. Or, like whatever. Who knows?
He was in their dimension. Or
he was in the end zone or something. So, but I thought this was funny. They literally, Iceman is just like, no, hey, I'm okay, man, but I just had to deceive you in order to snap you out of that. And he's like, the fuck, man? Like, I thought I killed you. Like, literally. He's like, not cool, bro. Like, but thank you for snapping me out of it, but also not cool. Like, that's not a cool thing for friends to do. And so it kind of distracts Angel when Iceman comes out, and Apocalypse is able to kind of take Angel out for a second. And Apocalypse then grabs the rest of the 4 horsemen, I guess the 3 horsemen.
Yeah.
Or he grabs War and Pestilence. I think the little kid that is Famine is gone, right? Like, he's out.
I think so. Like, it seemed like Famine got hurt pretty bad.
Yeah, Famine got hurt pretty bad, so he's not part of him. But he does take Caliban, and he just like whoop and just flies out of the ship and is like, see ya.
Peace.
Yeah, peace.
Yeah. He his arms turn into like plane wings or something, and he flies off.
Yeah, and then he says again, like, have fun driving this thing, but without me, and then like leaves.
I'll get you, Gadget.
Yeah, and then
flies off.
Like literally, this thing is spinning out of control. It looks like 2 tubes tied together with a box, around them.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it does. It looks.
It's not a very
like
aerodynamic ship, so it's not like floating down peacefully or whatever.
Yeah. I will say, I was telling Matt before we were kind of doing our recap, and it was like, this last one felt like an episode of Dragon Ball Z, because it's like, how long has this ship been falling now? And like, because they were off the ship, and then they're back on the ship.
Yeah. And then like where it's falling or how it's hitting stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, maybe we can make it fly into the ocean or whatever. So or like the harbor. So they are able to get it over the ocean and miss the city completely for the most part. And then it's about to hit the Statue of Liberty. And this is, once again, suspenseful storytelling. It almost hits the Statue of Liberty, but just barely misses it. And she's able to stand tall. So it does smash the headquarters of X Factor, though.
But that's a good, the X Factor is no more.
Yeah.
We are,
And so that is like how the ship lands, and Archangel is like, all right, guys, like, I'm glad you're all alive, and I'm glad I didn't kill Iceman, but like, I got some things to work out. Like, it wasn't cool of you guys to not fucking look for me, or think that, maybe he's not dead, or let my wings get cut off and shit. So, like, we're not cool, but, like, I'm not trying to kill you anymore. I'm not evil. And they're like, wow, I'm sorry we didn't do that.
You have given us a lot to think about.
Yeah, basically, that's what it is. He leaves them on that note. And then, of course, as they begin to leave, they being the X Factor crew, minus Angel, they open the hatch to this thing, and the news people are already on site. I don't know how the fuck they got to the harbor in like 10 minutes max, but they all arrive, and they all got cameras, and they all begin saying, like, why did you attack the city? Like, why would you attack us? You're mutants, right? And like, they're like, no, we didn't attack. We saved everybody, in fact. And some people are like, we did see them fighting those other, like, people riding mounts or whatever, and like all this stuff. So they're having to deal with the TV and whatnot. So that's the end of this like main story arc. Then the next issue, the last issue, is them going through the city and kind of like proving to the news crew that, like, no, we're not bad. Look at us. We're saving all the people that are, in the rubble down below that haven't died already. So they go around the city and start like saving people, and like Angel, he doesn't save anybody. I think he's just kind of like like screeching and angry, and is in his angst mode of like, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't even know who I am anymore. Basically, as the rest of X Factor goes around saving people from burning buildings and debris that's fallen on them and taking them all to the hospital. I think that was cool. Jean Grey just like literally picks up everybody that they've saved because there's all the streets are blocked and there's no way for like ambulances.
There's dead bodies everywhere and there's rubble.
And there's no way for like ambulances to get through. So she telekinesis them. She telekinetically lifts them.
Yeah.
All of them, like 50 people, into the hospital, like from where they were. She just like flies over there with them hanging off of her, which would be a pretty funny sight, I think, so. If I was in the city at this time. But yeah, so she takes them to the hospital, and we get a little bit. You get to see that Beast is very, very torn up about what happened because he's like seeing all this stuff, all the damage and destruction that happened from the ship crashing, and he's like, I did that. Like, I don't want to hurt anybody. I was just fighting Apocalypse. But he wasn't thinking when he did stuff. And so it's just caused him, like, he's reverted kind of back to a child. And so, like, in his mind. And so he's literally crying in a corner and, like, super sad and just, like, reflecting on, like, I didn't want to hurt anybody, kind of thing. I was just doing what I thought I was supposed to do. And Iceman's like, come on, buddy.
It'll be okay.
It'll be okay. I'll take you back. We'll all be. We'll get some ice cream. How about that, buddy? And so that's basically what it is. This wrap up is just watching the X-Men or the X Factor guys like help everybody out, and then we also see that like apparently they didn't really touch on this too much, but Jean Grey and Cyclops have been going through some kind of relationship struggle. Maybe in past issues they've been having arguments or something. But they kind of make up and they kiss each other and a little bit more. This is a great panel. I was like, wow, that's kind of spicy for a Marvel comic in the 80s. But they start making out and then they continue to make out and then there just happens to be like a bed.
And they kind of like flop down on the bed.
Yeah, and I'm assuming this is an Apocalypse's ship because where the fuck else is it?
I guess Apocalypse got to sleep too.
He's got a water bed. And so, yeah, they just lay down on the bed and it kind of cuts to black. And so, yeah, that's like pretty much the end of the issue. Other than there is a little tale after where Angel says like I need to take a break and find out who I am before I come back to my friends or whatever. Yeah. So that's like the end of the story. And at the end, the city throws a parade for them, and they're kind of like, well, it's good that they're throwing a parade for us. They realize we weren't bad, but at the same time, we've had lots of parades, and they still hate us. Yeah. So, like, really, and that was another thing about this comic is I liked that they were so torn. It wasn't just black and white, like, look, we are good, and we're trying to help you humans, and no matter what you do, we will, side with good all the time. They are torn between, like, maybe we're wrong, maybe Apocalypse is right. Maybe Magneto kind of stuff is right. Where like, they've been hearing that same argument kind of from Magneto where we're their betters and they just hate us. So we need to like,
There's one thing about this one too, that I will say it's in the same vein. It's one comment that I always have heard about the movies and I don't remember as much because I haven't read much X-Men except for what we've read here, which was a lot of Wolverine.
Yeah.
This really shows Scott as the leader.
Yes.
And him not
in a good way.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. And then it's because like that's one thing I've heard his complaints in the movies is that he's just whiny and in the love triangle in the movie and not like the real leader that he is.
Yeah.
And in this he was much more like bringing everybody together for the plans. Kind of like again like the level-headed, like maybe he started questioning, but he'd be like, no, like we have to do this.
Yeah, we have to do
this. He was the one that brought them back together. And I remember that a little bit in like the animated show.
Right,
but not like it's been so long that it's definitely not enough for me to be like, yeah, that's true. So like it was a cool read to be like, oh wow, like I see those arguments being like more valid now. Like, oh wow, yeah, like he's definitely more than just like Jean's lover.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely like that. That it was nice. It was refreshing to see that.
Yes.
So that is the end of this. John, what would you give it? What did you think of it?
Yeah, I think overall it was a really solid comic. It's not my favorite X-Men story, but it was still I still really like. I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel going into it because like you said, it was kind of dropped in the middle. But I didn't have any problem. Like you said, I didn't have any problems picking up what was going on. I was able to fill in the holes and like go along with the story, and then I started really enjoying it. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I'm getting like backstory for things that like I've kind of had hints on, but not like really known about. And then, like I said, kind of got like more fleshed out of like them as a team. Not like they're not the X-Men, but it's still them as like a team and working together. And then the art was fantastic in it. It never felt wordy. It never felt boring. It was really fun. I'm gonna say overall, I'll give it a 7. It was solid.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one a 7.5. When I was reading this, I felt like if sometimes when I read comics nowadays, I pay $4.99 for an issue, and I read it in 10 minutes. And I'm like, that might have been a good comic. Like, I might have enjoyed it. But when you pay $5 for something, you kind of want it to last longer than 10 minutes or whatever. So this was like, I didn't feel like I was bored. I didn't feel like it was too wordy. I felt like it took a good 20 minutes to a half hour to read each issue and like really grasp it and understand it and look at the panels and look at the art and just really get into it. And I felt like if I had bought this, especially back then for $1 or whatever it was, I would be like, yes, this is totally worth $1. I feel like I got a good chunk of story out of every issue in this. And I didn't feel like there was any like filler issues or anything, except the last issue where they kind of have to make it up to the city or whatever and save everybody. But that needed to be in there because you can't just have them like leave off. And then
see ya.
Yeah, we did this. Like just say in the next issue. And anyway, we saved everybody. But next cool story arc. They like to fill in those gaps sometimes, and it also gives them like a little bit easier of time to come up with the next storyline sometimes too. But yeah, 7.5. I mean, I really like this. I did not expect to really like this. Not that I thought it was gonna be bad, but we have read X-Men stories before, and I was like, no, I'm not a big fan of this. Like we read the Wolverine miniseries that's by Chris Claremont, art by Frank Miller, and I was like, nah, I like the story, the basic story of it, but I did not like how repetitive it got and like how he needed to say, I'm the best at what I am.
Yeah, every fucking issue. Time.
I'm like, this did all that was trying to do, but without saying all that shit. It would fill in gaps, or it like knew what storylines you needed to know information on to get the story that was going on in this that you hadn't read before. But it didn't like, it was like Angel killed himself and it left it at that. Angel lost his wings and it left it at that. It didn't have to say like an angel is a person that we like it was like,
if you remember back in X Factor 20.
Yeah. It just they had those little notes like, hey, if you want to read this, it's in issue 18.
But they didn't like do the whole explanation.
Yeah, there was no what's that called? Dump of information, exposition dump, other than what needed to be in there. And I felt like there was perfect amount of it. Like sometimes Cyclops would say things that you wouldn't normally say, but the reader needs to know these things. So we'll weave it into the dialogue like, hey, Jean, well, that when Angel died, we didn't really look for him. It's like, that's something we might need to know as the reader for us to understand why Angel would turn to Apocalypse. And then they do cover that again, but it's from Angel's point of view in the other time. So we get it like from both sides and it does make sense. And yeah, like I just thought it was really well done and I really enjoyed it. And it made me want to start reading X Factor from the beginning and read that, like I want to read this series now. So I would highly recommend this as like someone who's, kind of dabbled in X-Men a little bit. I like Wolverine a lot when I was a kid and stuff, but like I don't know everything about it. I like what we've read. And we watched the TV show, obviously, when we were kids, but in the movies. But, that's my X-Men knowledge for the most part. And so it was just very nice to read this and get like a full story with really good art. And I think this book was like the Epic Collection, so it goes on for like 15 more issues. I think it might do the whole story of Angel where he does go like, and now I'm back, and I'm coming back as Archangel, and so like that's probably what the rest of it is. But yeah, I really liked it, and so you give it a 7, I give it a 7.5. And what are we reading next week, John?
We will be reading my favorite. It's our favorite. It's kind of what we bonded on, but it is definitely my favorite superhero. I'm very excited to get into this one. because it's from our team. It's Jeff Loeb.
It's Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale.
And it is the next of the color issues, Captain America White.
Yes.
And that is not because he is white.
I'm assuming.
I'm assuming. It's your way we don't know. It was Hulk Gray, and he was the Gray Hulk. So.
And it was Daredevil yellow, and he was the Daredevil
suit. But I'm assuming it's not that.
I think it's supposed to be like red, white, and blue.
Yeah,
so.
That makes more sense.
Yeah,
yeah, because there's the Spider-Man. I think is Spider-Man
blue,
right? Yeah, so that makes sense. But either way, Cap's my favorite. I love his. He will always do the right thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've always I
love his morals.
I've always loved Spider-Man. Spider-Man's always great. You kind of give as a kid. And Batman is cool. He's got the gadgets. But I've always something. I don't know why. I've always connected. Maybe I've met Boy Scout inside deep secretly or something.
Yes.
But I've always loved Captain America.
You don't want to say that again. You don't have a Boy Scout deep inside.
Hold me, canteen boy. No, but seriously, I am just excited because it's a new Captain America story. It'll be a fresh take on, again, we'll know the back. I'm
assuming it's gonna be the origin.
Origin-y, but I'm sure it'll, it's a fresh take from a team that we've really enjoyed on this channel.
Yes.
And I'm excited for the art because
Tim Sale.
I have talked about it many times. I really want some, and I can be a print because I know that the original stuff is gonna be expensive, but I want a panel or a piece from Hulk Gray for sure.
Yeah.
And my wife is like, no, we're not hanging around. She's like, he's no. And I was like, but he's so special. He's
the cool Gray Hulk.
He's the Gray Hulk. And she's like, no. She's like, I felt so sad when you told me about that and heard it.
Your wife is wrong.
Yes.
Tim Sale can do no wrong.
No, exactly. No wrong.
After seeing his Catwoman in Long Halloween, he can't do anything wrong. He will forever be a great artist in my mind. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna read next week. If you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can email us at planestrains&comicbooks, all one word, @gmail.com.
Don't forget about our Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube channel for exclusive content and supporting us if you feel so inclined. ko-fi.com/Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word. You can definitely, if you sign up there for at least our newsletter, you can see everything that comes out that week, all the exclusives, our weekly podcast here, Matt's Minis. And then if you're so inclined, you also can share a coffee with us.
Buy us a coffee.
Buy us a coffee, they say. Or donate and support, and we definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, and if you do that, you can recommend us books that maybe we overlook or that we haven't heard of or we haven't got to yet that you really want us to talk about. So, we love any support and all support, and we love just, you guys even commenting on stuff and letting us know that you listen and that you like it.
Yeah, we really appreciate all that. We've definitely been getting a lot of good comment, constructive and positive. We really appreciate all of it. Let us know what you're enjoying. Yeah. Let us know what you'd like us to change in our format.
We're down. Hate the way John's voice sounds.
get a different host.
Yeah, Matt is an idiot. So with that being said, we'll see you guys on the next one.
On the next one.
Bye.